Welcome to our fourth office hours. But I'm just going to kick things off with some updates and then we'll dive right into the questions. So, just a few really quick updates this month. We have a webinar on March 25th. It's all about disaster recovery. So, ClickHouse disaster recovery tips and tricks. It'll be by Robert Hodges, our CEO. It should be excellent. I'm very much looking forward to it. Now, the rest of our announcements we're sort of holding on to. I invite you to come back in April and take a look at our April webinar and our May webinars. We have some really, really exciting announcements coming up around our open source contributions to ClickHouse, and you will definitely want to check that out. So just stay tuned. And with that being said, let's dive into our questions. We have a number of experts from the Altinity team here, and we've gathered up some questions from around the community. So this first question is from Reddit. How do you take care of duplicates and joins with ClickHouse? Anyone want to kick things off?
I can try to pick that. Yeah, so duplicates and joins in ClickHouse. That's, well, the best way to deal with them is not dealing with them. If you can just prepare the data in a way, then you don't need to do that. It would be the best option. But of course, it's not always possible. Sometimes you need to deal with those joins and with the duplicates. Generally, ClickHouse have few answers to that. So about the duplicates, usually one of the best, like one of the first choices, one of the simplest choices, use replacing merge tree, which generally implements the idea of upserts, like you just insert a new state of a row, and if a row is exactly the same as the previous one, it will the old one will disappear. There are actually a few other variants of the deduplication. So if it's deduplication, also there is a deduplication which is needed when you work with distributed systems generally. So if you don't get the acknowledgement back, so you insert the data to ClickHouse, you didn't get the acknowledgement, so you need to do a retry. In those cases, the deduplication happens automatically. So you don't need to do anything. So you just replicated tables. They have that mechanism enabled by default. So if you just retry the same block, it will not create a duplicate. So it's that idempotency property, which is typical for the distributed systems. It's also implemented in ClickHouse. And there are actually many more variants of deduplication, but I would say it's in that call, I would probably stop here because it can last forever otherwise. And about the joins, I would say like that. There are a few variants of doing joins. Like first, just do join. just try to use that as you get used to in other databases. In modern versions of ClickHouse, it works pretty well. It have few variants of few algorithms which it can use under the hood. You can control those algorithms, and it's already quite smart. Not as smart in some other databases, but also it's not as so you don't need to fight with the with optimizer. So you just write and it will execute what you wrote. And there are actually some unique variants. Some fancy variant of doing the joins specific for ClickHouse. It is dictionaries. So you can just, if you need to join with the same table again and again, like a lot of times, instead of reading it from the disk every time, preparing data structures for doing the joins, you can have all that stuff prepared inside RAM. So every time you will reuse that, it's ready for use. And it has some funny syntax sugar, which is also unique for ClickHouse using the dict get. Probably everybody who get used to the traditional SQL syntax will also love this one. I don't know. Maybe somebody if it's too formal, like it's not. It's a bit different from what you get used to, but it's really fancy. It's really nice. I love it. Yeah, and there are even more options also about when you talk about the joins. Usually, the one of the decisions you need to take when to do the joins. There are main two main options is do the join at the insert time or do the join at the select time. So if you do the join at the insert time, you generalize the data. It in many cases with those big data projects like ClickHouse, it's a nice option. But if a data is too mutable, that's also can work against you. Just so keeping the data in normalized form, just having it two entities and join at the select time, it can be preferable. But every use case is different, so it's usually just need to look on how it works.
Yeah, you have to understand your use case. Just going back to what you were saying at the very beginning of that about replacing merge tree and deduplication. I was just reading about replacing merge tree. It's not really deduplicating the data on disk, right? It's just storing the new row, and
Yeah,
then the last row wins in the select, basically.
yeah, so it's actually it allows those duplicates to jump into the table. So like to land in the table, so the table actually will have those duplicates, but you can eventually those duplicate rows will disappear from the disk also during those
Yeah,
background merges during kind of compactification. But
right.
if you will you normally don't want to see them in the selects, and there is the way to say to ClickHouse, hey, I don't want to see those, and you just add to do that, you just add the final clause to your query. So select from table final. This way the duplication will happen on the fly, and you'll not see any duplicates during the select.
Okay, cool. Um, okay. Talking about tools and ecosystem next. So this question is there a Dremio alternative with strong access control for table and row level permissions?
I'm not probably too familiar with that guy. The Dremio, yes, it is. About the row level permissions, ClickHouse itself have quite fancy thing here. Like, I don't know, maybe there is something even fancier. Uh, but in ClickHouse, actually, the system of grants and the access is pretty broad. So you can just make the rules based on like usual grants. Yeah, so select, show, update, delete, whatever. So like you can grant it by tables, by databases, for the users, for the roles, and there are also row policies. So you can even have one huge table with some field. I don't know, like for example, one use case, you can have like one big table with data for different even customers or different user groups, and by you can define the rules that that user can only access the rows with where the field one equals, I don't know, like field company equals, I don't know, like Google. So the Google guys can only see the Google rows. Yeah. So this way you can, and about the tools, I'm not sure. Maybe there is something, I don't know, like maybe if somebody else from the crowd knows that, just let us know.
Does that apply also? Could ClickHouse manage sort of RBAC like that for reading from Delta and Iceberg tables?
For the support of the data lakes, including the delta tables and the iceberg and those guys, it's still in quite immature state so far. So it's evolving quickly, but it is not yet uh, not as great as the some other like older databases. So ClickHouse actually just start its journey with data lakes not as long ago. So like they just slowly, but that is one of the most actively improving, evolving field of ClickHouse. So I guess so far the answer is no, it's not as great. Like some features are supported and some not. Generally, more of the features not supported yet, but I guess if you ask the same question a year later, maybe it will be the answer will be completely different.
All right, next question. How can I create an incremental copy locally?
Incremental copy. I don't know, like it's incremental copy, like it's too sounds not too precise, I would for me.
Yeah, for
Like,
backup, for backup.
yeah.
Do they mean make a major, one single backup and then keep applying incremental restores to it? That's what it
Sounds like that. But,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, this
it.
question came from our ClickHouse backup webinar.
Yeah, so probably probably in that case it's about the backups. Yeah, so ClickHouse actually, so we right now, like we in Altinity, we mostly use that ClickHouse backup tool, which have a long history. It was created much earlier than the like backup restore functionality of ClickHouse itself. It have a support for the incremental backups, so you can make the typical usage there is just you have the weekly full backups, for example. I don't know, like during the weekend you just take the full snapshot, and during the like every day you create the like you run the incremental backups, and actually it's described in the documentation. You can just follow that. It's with the diff from, it's called probably for the name of a setting, and it's pretty straightforward. So should just work, and you need to preserve all of those backups for sure. Like and later on so for example, to recover the Sunday backup or like Saturday backup, you will need to have the like Sunday, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, and finally the full backup from Saturday from Sunday. So it's like it will just collect the data, collect the files from all those layers. And with the standard, if you talk about the standard ClickHouse without that extra tooling, actually the backup restore is also supports those incremental backups. It has some like instrumentation of those backup and restore is not so great, so like it requires some manual. So some operations need to be done like let's say like in controlled manner, so you don't, it's not like just you can, in most of the cases you cannot just do it unattended. You need to do to know what's happening there, to put the backups and so on. So actually less tooling there around, but the as a building block it's actually pretty cool. So you can have even those incremental backups let's say forever, so you don't need to take the to retake the full backups from time to time. So you can just only have the incremental. So if you don't care about the like the size growth, you can just make those daily snapshots. But actually like that incremental for the embedded one, it only works if you use the S3 as a storage. Yeah, because like you can have like different layouts where you want to put the backups for the backup and restore. And if you use that folder, or you use a S3 as a destination, then it can build the incremental one.
Just a note, the incremental does not make very much sense in local folders because they are hard links in the end. So that's why it's supported in S3 and ClickHouse Backup and not in local.
Okay, makes sense. All right, great. Next question. This is from one of our older videos, but maybe the answer is different now. Why would I use Zookeeper over ClickHouse Keeper, or vice versa? It seems like there's mixed messaging in the documentation.
Yeah, good question actually. Yeah, so it's actually like the like first of all, maybe like small like short story about this keeper and Zookeeper. So when ClickHouse started, there was not too many of those consensus tools, like ready to use tools to make the distributed computing, like to make consensus during the distributed computing. So it's actually they just bring in the the most mature, the most famous at time tool, which was Zookeeper. The tools like, I don't know, like etcd or like similar, they appeared later, so they are not available at time. So it actually was this default choice at the moment when ClickHouse was created. And the Zookeeper is pretty nice, pretty good, pretty mature, but it also have some downsides. They're not very well advertised. So one of the famous downside, like first of all, there is a group of users who does not like Java. Like it's so if I see that like, it requires Java virtual machine in my in my in my stack, I hate it. I don't like it. Like let's pick something else. Like that's one of the downside. So it's actually it's you can write good programs in Java, or you can write bad programs outside of Java. So it's like the JVM itself is not too big problem, but okay. Yeah, I buy that. I buy that. And the next problem, very famous problem, like very serious problem actually with the Zookeeper, that it have it's called ZK over like ZXID overflow issue. So they have some. So generally, Zookeeper uses have a counter of a transaction inside, and that counter is using 42 bit number. So generally, you have you count up to 4 billion. 4 billion is just the max int for that, for int 42, and after that you have the overflow of that integer. And depending on this, on how you use Zookeeper with ClickHouse, so actually like when we work together, like you can make those transactions happen very intensively, like I don't know, thousands per second even sometimes. And if you have thousands per seconds, you can count after quite not too much hours, you will get that overflow happening. And the problem with that overflow, that is to fix the problem, the Zookeeper do some very funny strategy. Just instead, sorry guys, I have a problem. I have housekeeping work I need to do by my own. I'm closing the doors. I'm serving no requests. Everybody need to get rid of me. I'll fix the problem. After that, I'll get back. So actually,
that's like me after I get back from a conference.
yeah, something like that. So it says I'm overflow. I need some time to recover, and that means that from time to time, Zookeeper just disappears. Like it says, oops, no Zookeeper. Like I'm closing connections, close anything, and after that, after a few seconds, usually, sometimes it's a bit longer, it gets back. But if you have very intensive work, if you have like those thousands of transactions per second with Zookeeper, your cluster with, I don't know, like with 20 of nodes, or like, I don't know, a few hundreds of nodes, maybe if you have a big ClickHouse cluster, it's everybody's down, everybody's waiting for for ClickHouse for Zookeeper to fix their problems internally. So it's like one of it's a second like bigger problem with Zookeeper. The third probably is the maintenance. So actually you can sometimes if you run Zookeeper longer, you sometimes may face the issues. Oh, I face some issue. I found it says in the logs about that exception happening here, blah blah blah, is stack trace. So let's Google it, and you find it. Ooh, I feel happy, like it's something the people knows the problem. Yeah, and it's usually a report like dated 5 years back with one comment saying, "Hey, I have also the same problem. What to do with that?" So actually, the support of the Zookeeper is not too great, I would say. And the one more problem, fifth probably already problem, is that it is having the protocol between, like it's not super well designed for ClickHouse needs, let's say like that. So for example, one of the famous problem here, that ClickHouse, it always need to get a listing of a parts on all the nodes. So let's assume that I'm replica 1. I get inside my replication queue that task. I need to download a part from whatever. And now I need to get list of parts from you guys. Like, hey, like what parts you, Stefan, have? What parts you, Boris, have? And I'm just getting those listings from you, from Boris, from everybody, and that listing is inside the Zookeeper. And this doesn't do the point lookup, but it does the listing, just because maybe that part is already outdated. Maybe there is a newer part, so I need to do the just better to list and maybe grab the latest one instead of grabbing some outdated part. And the problem is that listing is happens very often. So, and if you have a lot of like, if you, Stefan, you'll have like thousands of parts, and you, Boris, will have also thousands of parts. I will be downloading those list of thousands of parts every like few times per second, and it creates quite a big pressure on Zookeeper, and the traffic from the Zookeeper to ClickHouse because of that sometimes can be insane. Like, I don't know, like a lot of bytes.
Yeah.
Let's say like that.
Yep.
And
I like the metaphor of all of our coworkers as different ClickHouse nodes.
Yeah, and
so it sounds like you're recommending Keeper. Does Keeper, like, is Keeper fully productionized, maintainable, like ready
yeah,
to go,
and
modern?
yeah, so it's actually like all those problems are addressed inside the Keeper. So it's not in Java, okay? So it's have better, like, it's better maintainable, like it have no Zookeeper overflow issue, and it have some extra API designed especially for ClickHouse. So instead of at least, it have list filters, for example, which solves the problem. But am I recommending that? So for the new setups, for sure, like no brainer, just use the Zookeeper. For old setups, if you're already using a Zookeeper, well, you can if you don't have problems, I still follow that pattern, like golden engineering rule. If it works, don't touch it. But if you like on the next bigger maintenance, you can do that. Migration is not hard, like it's quite straightforward. Whereas some, like what problems you can face with the Keeper, it's a little bit less performant. Like if on a larger scale, the Zookeeper is still more performant. Like that's one. The second one, with the like in terms of the tooling around, in terms of the in terms of the things like rescaling, all those operational things. It's sometimes can be a bit confusing, but generally it's that like in 2025 it's already good to use. Yeah.
Okay.
I can think of one more thing too that I've encountered, and that is if you're in a containerized environment, the containers for ClickHouse Keeper are going to be much smaller, therefore faster to load than Zookeeper.
You don't like running 3 JVMs on your laptop?
No comment.
Okay. All right. Last question for today, and then I think we can wrap things up. So, how can I get only the keys from a JSON field?
That's easy. JSON extract keys. There is a function to do that.
All right. We'll link that in the we'll link the link to that function in the documentation in the description. Okay, that's all we've got for today. So thanks so much, everybody, for joining and sharing your expertise.
See you guys.
Bye, guys. See you.
Bye.
Bye.